Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the German Tier 8 Tech Tree medium tank, the Indien Panzer. Now if you did like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Indien Panzer. It's a pretty solid Tier 8 Tech Tree medium tank. It's had a lot of changes over the recent years, because it used to be a tank that was probably wholly forgettable, if we're honest. And that's because it didn't really have any armour. Its gun was okay, its alpha was 240, same as a lot of other mediums. Its mobility's sort of generally average, or always felt average back in the day as well. And so overall the tank was just, yeah, generally fairly forgettable. But a lot of changes have gone through it, mainly in the gun department, and it's made it a very, very nice tank to play. It doesn't really have any armour, so there's nothing to believe in that regard. So yeah, if you go into games trying to brawl and think, yeah, I've got armor, I can go haul down and laugh at people and bounce all the shots, it's not going to do it. That's not the Indien Panzer. It's almost like a German CDC, not that level of armor where it's made of spit and Kleenex, but it's not got much armor and will very easily get penetrated. The thing that this tank wants is to get to flanking positions and then just work people over with what is a fantastic gun, because it really is. It's all about the gun on this Indien Panzer. The vehicle has a 55 km/h top speed with a 20 km/h reverse speed, 630 horsepower engine, which is 15.95 horsepower per ton ratio, which, as you've seen, means you generally get up to about 50 km/h, between 55, it's between that 50 to 55 km/h top speed region is what you generally hit, and the 20 km/h reverse speed is absolutely fantastic. You've got pretty good ground resistances as well, which means that your ground resistances do not hold back the top speed for the tank whatsoever. You don't really suffer in that regard, so you don't really ever have to focus on them. You got 317 meters of steel concealment with the build that I run, which is pretty okay. It means that you can stay unspotted in a decent amount of situations, but you've not got absolutely brilliant camo where you can sit in a bush and never get spotted, like the Baraska we were shooting at earlier on, for example. But it's good enough that it can save you in a fair few nice little bush locations, like on Westfield, where you can get to them unspotted and you can sit in them, but the moment you fire, you're boned. And generally, if anything that's got a higher view range comes along, yeah, they're going to see you as well. We've got 512 meters of view range, which is, again, absolutely fantastic. It means this tank can spot for itself exceptionally easily, and will, if you put yourself in good spotting locations, like that Westfield bush location in the middle, you will end up getting spots very easily and push up your assistance damage very, very well. And you'll get some good assistance damage games out of this vehicle for that very good view range. You've got a 5.8 second reload as well, which is 3084 DPM with the build that I run, which is absolutely phenomenal for a tier 8 medium tank, and it's a delightful thing to have. 212 penetration on the standard AP with 259 penetration on the premium APCR means that you basically go through most tanks you're going to face. It's only really the super heavy tanks at tier 10 that you do actually struggle to penetrate, with 1000 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP, and then a fantastic 1250 meters a second shell velocity on the APCR that you've just seen us use there against a Baraska that was fully on the move. The APCR velocity feels really, really nice, and it's a lot nicer in general in the feel of it than the standard AP as well, because the standard AP, being that 1000 meters a second, is a very average shell velocity for a tank. 1250, you really feel the difference between the two. So one of the big things that's changed on this vehicle, apart from the reload being buffed at times as well, is the fact that you, instead of having 240 alpha, it got buffed to 280 alpha, and then they buffed it to 300 alpha. So this vehicle now has 300 alpha on a tier 8 medium with pretty good DPM, and nice mobility to get you into positions to be able to flank and spank and get the gun on target in lots of different ways to use the good DPM and gun handling. So 300 alpha is really nice, and it's a fairly unusual alpha for mediums to have. Generally, they have in the past always had 240, 250, or they'd have 320, but most of the time if you had 320 you were hitting more like tier 9, 10 for that alpha. And then you had the the 390s, the 400s, so it wasn't all that common that you had tanks that had 300. Now obviously the Indien Panzer has it, the Mutz has it. The 300 alpha is still very nice, because it means you do get some good rolls out of it, and you feel more impactful as well when you shoot people, especially that are 2 tiers higher, like you're seeing in this game right in front of you. and it can be just pretty nice. Generally, it gives a nice feel to the gun, as well as that, the fact that the gun handling is 0.26 accuracy at 100 meters, which is fantastic, and you've got 0.64 accuracy during rotation with 1.31 accuracy during movement, meaning that the gun, you know, the aim circle doesn't bloom out that much at all. You'll see in here, full chat on the move. It's basically fully aimed. What is that 4005 doing? I don't know. I don't know what that 4005's doing. But anyway, I digress. With the 2.64 accuracy during rotation, the 1.31 accuracy during movement, yeah, the aim circle just doesn't bloom out. You've just seen that from full chat on the move. We were basically fully aimed as it was. And then you've got a 1.84 second aim time added into that, meaning that it does aim in super quickly too. Fantastic. The gun handling on this tank is absolutely beautiful, and it does have 10 degrees of gun depression as well, which is very, very nice for the Indien Panzer. I mean, it is extremely flexible on a ridgeline. I mean, you are generally a fairly flexible tank to use because you've got good mobility, you've got decent camo. I wouldn't call it great camo, I'd just call it decent camo. You've got decent camo, great mobility with 55 kilometers an hour, generally having the average medium tank mobility where you generally stay at about 50. And then you've got the good DPM, the good gun handling, nice penetration. On the whole, it's a pretty damn nice tech tree medium tank that leads towards the Leopards. Obviously, you could skip the Indien Panzer anyway and go towards the Leopards by going through the light tank line. It's down to you, really. So what do I run in terms of crew and equipment on this vehicle? Well, on the Indien Panzer, I run a fairly standard medium tank crew. I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Silent Driving, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, with the Advanced Loader, the Gun Stabilizer, and Optics. Optics to get that 512 meters of view range, the Gun Stabilizer to get the accuracy during rotation and movement down as low as possible, so it is basically always fully aimed, because a lot of this gun is all down to how you can get it to hit the targets consistently, use the fantastic DPM. All 3 gun perks for that exact same reason. The Advanced Loader to get the best out of the DPM, and then Camouflage Expertise to get the camo down to that 317 meters of still concealment, and the Silent Driving to get the camo down to 327 meters of movement concealment, so that you can at least get to more aggressive spotting locations easier without getting spotted, so you can have the element of surprise to use this gun. Down to you and how you feel comfortable playing the tank. You might feel like having some of the camo perks is superfluous and you don't want to focus on that. We want to focus on other things. You might feel like the accuracy during rotation is good enough. You don't really want to run Snapshot. Down to you and how you feel comfortable playing the tank, as always. I just want to focus on the gun and making the gun as good as humanly possible because, like I say, I feel like this tank is all about that DPM, all about how accurate that gun is, and getting the shots off on people before they get the shots off on you, because if they get the shots off on you, like you've seen in this game, they go penetrate you and go through you every single time, and you will just lose hit points. So it's nicer to have the snappy gun. So you can see that first game we finished with 1 kill, 4.1k damage. The first class, the Confederate, 1677 base XP. A really nice game, actually, for the Indien Panzer there in a very tier 10 game. Yeah, we just had a pretty damn nice game there for the Indien Panzer, and it showed it off perfectly, really. And that is, you don't really want to be the focus of the enemy's attention, because if you take the ire of the, or if you become the ire of the enemy, yeah, they just go, oh, an Indien Panzer, snap, pen, every single time. And you don't want that. It's like the CDC in that regard. You don't want to be the one where you're sitting there going, shoot me, because you're just going to die. But you want to be in that position where you can just keep the gun singing, because like the CDC in that way, the gun is very nice, the DPM's nice, and you can just keep consistently putting damage in. And that's what the Indien Panzer just wants to do, because that's just the way the tank plays. So we're on the second replay. In the second replay, we're here on this map, which is Prokhorovka. And on Prokhorovka, we've come to the position that is a very, very good position to take. It is E3-4, and it's a very good position to take because you can put very easy shots down the 1-2 line. You can also spot down the 1-2 line. You can get shots on the left-hand side as well at people that do sometimes camp at H7. You can shoot down that line. You can... It's just a very flexible position because, as well as that, if it's not really working and you're not really spotting anything down the 1-2 line and you're not managing to get any shots in where you want to, you can also flex over onto the other side of the ridge line towards the position at E5-6 and start shooting at the people that might get spotted on the hill. And if there's no one on the hill or down the 9-0 line, you can also just decide, okay, I'm going over the train tracks and then try and run down the 8-9 line and flank round the enemy team from that way and try and trap them in a little pocket and a gun, you know, in a nice little crossfire. and start farming away. So this position is a very flexible position early game to take, and it can be a position that you can take at the early game and then change positions constantly, or you can just end up staying here for most of the game, farming away, and you'll have a nice time. It is such a good position to take for that. The opposition side of this, where that medium tank that's currently spotted is also a very good position to take. I don't feel like it's quite as good as this side, because if you want to change up your position, because it's the nuances of how you use this ridgeline. Obviously, an Indien Panzer is great for it. 10 degrees of gun depression, extremely flexible. But if I was to move slightly more to the left-hand side, I can actually keep myself covered from the snipers that sit down at K3 with the rock that you've just seen that was in front of us. And that way I can poke up more and get more shots at people that might be at GH2 without taking shots from the guys that do camp there. Because as you've seen, if you overexpose over the ridgeline at times, you will take shots in the shots in the side of the turret, and then we'll get there in the end. You'll take shots in the side of the turret, and you've got to be careful of that. I mean, currently we're up to 2.3k damage, but we've lost half our hit points, and that's because we've been constantly poking, putting shots in, and occasionally we've been getting caught. And right there, we went for a shot that was on the guy that was at G1, and we get caught, and we're down to 327 hit points, which means we have to be extremely careful, because we are basically a one-shot for quite a few tanks, and I don't want to take the risks, especially with the TDs that might be camping down at K2-3, especially with some of the hits we've taken, like that T28, for example, we'll be dead in one shot. And like I say, we have no armor. We have 0 armor, and you've seen that so far as we go along, that we've not bounced anything. Everything that's hit this tank has penned it. And it's not a good time for Mr. Indien Panzer. Again, we get very lucky there, as we take a shot that breaks the gun, but it doesn't pen us. That's because it hit the gun. But you're seeing the gun in perfect action. The fact that we're never having to aim it up. We're just poking over, firing instantly, and we're hitting pretty much most of the shots where we're actually, we can applicably actually pen the vehicles, because we're also missing quite a few shots, but they're fairly difficult shots to hit. But you can see I don't want to overexpose. I'm taking as little time on top of this ridgeline as humanly possible, because if you are spotted on top of that ridgeline and you sit there for any prolonged period of time, you're going to die, you're going to take a hit. You just need to poke over, fire, pull back instantly. You can't take the time to aim shots whatsoever, which is why, again, like I say, a gun like the Indien Panzer right here is very, very nice. So I've loaded HE. Why? Get rid of these buildings. So you can see I'm having some slight issues actually getting rid of these buildings. And the reason I'm trying to get rid of the buildings is because you've seen the 752. He took cover behind one of them, and they are taking cover behind some of these buildings. It's pretty frustrating, especially with the amount I've been firing, and so I want to try and get rid of it so my team can shoot at them, and so I can also shoot at them without struggling. Oh! Okay! Beautiful gun handling at your service. That shot hit. Oh, okay. Take it. RNG giveth, RNG taketh. We'll take that shot. And we've got the snipey Cupola shot on the VK750. Okay, RNG's in. RNG's in. That was a beautiful shot as well. That's where RNG comes into play, because, we've missed quite a few shots in this game that you're sitting there going, that should have probably hit. But those two shots, the shot on the AMX AC-48 definitely probably shouldn't have hit, but it just did anyway. That shot on the VK was a slim to nothing shot on his cupola with standard, because 212 pen is not always guaranteed to go through that cupola, and it just went where it wanted to, and it penned him and killed him. We take it, but again, that's how beautiful this gun can be. We got a shot into the G-Saw to shut him down as well, because he got spotted, and that's what I was talking about from this position. You can shoot people like where that G-Saw got spotted, which is pretty good. And we get a cheeky shot there into the side of the SU-122-54. The Emil-2 at the back of the map gets spotted, so we're going to try and get a shot into him. He's been back there he got spotted there earlier on in the game as well. He's basically been there for most of the game, but okay. We're trying to get a shot into the side of the Emil there, but we can't actually get the gun depression. Our gun depression failed us there, but that's because we went a little bit too far up on the ridgeline. But the 752 is running away currently, so Mr. 752, I'm not going to allow that. Our shot pens the 752 and tracks him. Now got a shot at the Charioteer, so we put a shot into the side of the Charioteer, putting him down to a one-shot. If we can get rid of that tank destroyer, that would be great, putting us onto our 5th kill. We'll aim up the shot, and that looked like it was a surefire hit. But the Charioteer got unspotted, so there's actually a chance that he probably just stopped moving. the moment I poked up on the ridgeline to try and get a shot into me. But now we're getting all of the shots, and this general is coming after us, and I'm thinking, oh god, I'm dead. Thankfully, he hits the ridgeline. I was quite surprised that the general managed to actually get up on top of the ridgeline so well, without ever getting shot there, but except for by me. But he does end up getting shot down. We get very lucky we are alive, because it could have quite easily ended quite badly. But the Emil 2's now coming for us, and at this point you can see this man just wants to come after us, and he gets shut down by the GSOT 1008, just like the general should have done a bit earlier. And good night, Mr. Emil 2. He just went, I want this guy. And thankfully, my team managed to get the shots in before he came over, because there's not much I was going to do against Emil 2 there. He was going to pen me quite easily, and I'd probably bounce off his turret. We go for the shot into the side of the 257, and that shot went to the moon as it ricocheted off his ass. Now got a shot at the Charioteer. I thought the Charioteer was going to start running away, but he randomly moved forward ever so slightly and then just stopped dead. So he completely neo'd my shell. We missed it. We didn't get a kill. And unfortunately, we don't get another shot at the 257. But we finished the game with a really nice total there. We finished with the victory. 4 kills, 4.9k damage, 2.7k assistance. The ace tanker, the Confederate, the high caliber, for that 2.3k base XP. Really nice game there for the Indien Panzer in a tier 9 game on Prokhorovka, showing off what this tank can do. Honestly, it's a really quite a nice tier 8 tank to play, because the gun, the alpha, is just really, really nice on this vehicle. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success.